Dr. Veena is asking, do you feel that we should give carbs to see a faster result in weight loss? Do you feel we should give at carbs to see a faster? I'm guessing you mean should we prescribe carbs also for weight loss? It depends on what kind of carb, doctor. If it is a simple sugar, then absolutely not, because we know that's pure fructose and that will cause an insulin surge in the body, and insulin is nothing but a fat storing hormone. So we don't want any of that. Should we give complex carbs? I don't see why not, because complex carbs are nothing but fiber in the form of your vegetables, and fiber provides butyrate for your gut, which is great for health at large, great to grow and proliferate the good bacteria, which we all need, as we know. I hope that answers the question, Doc. Okay, thank you for joining. Lots of people joining in. Okay, I'm going to move to the next question. Whey protein shakes. Quite a few people ask me this. I am not a fan of any protein shake per se. So if you are somebody who's hugely deficient in protein in the diet, and I don't see why that should be, because whether you're vegetarian, whether you're vegan, or of course non-vegetarian covers the protein, there is no reason why you can't get enough protein in your diet. Also, I'm not a fan of very high protein diets. It's got to be an adequate protein and low carbohydrate, adequate fat diet. And if you do the adequate protein and adequate fat, there is no reason why you can't burn your own body fat. So I don't believe in high protein diets. Why? Because again, there is enough data, and I'm somebody who only believes in data and prescribes what is medically proven. There is enough data now to suggest that very high diets, protein diets, can trigger something called insulin-like growth factor, IGF-1, which, especially in people with a family history of cancer, can trigger the cancer gene. In my mind, there are lots of much safer ways to drop the weight. So I don't want to do anything. For a common person, you would never make the connect, but I can make the connect. So I will never do anything that is incorrect just in the name of weight loss. It's always thin and fit, not thin and sick. So no, I'm not a big fan of protein shakes, unless of course you're into competitive athletics, then that's a different story. How to avoid fructose intake? Well, avoid all your simple sugars, which means no patisserie products, no cakes and pastries and biscuits and fruit juices. For everyone, every parent there who thinks it's great to give their child fruit juices, no, it's not. Please give them a fruit with the fiber. Skip the, anything that breaks the cellulose layer, even it could be in a NutriBullet or a Vitamix or anything, it will release the fructose, which is nothing but sugar in the body. Is beef steak equally good source of protein as grilled chicken? Well, if you don't have a cholesterol problem, of course, go crazy and pick your meat. It doesn't matter at all. Okay, so as far as TSH is concerned, we look at all numbers, specifically FT3, which is your free T3, T4, and your TSH. If your TSH is elevated, as we know, it's hypothyroid. And these people typically find weight loss a little more difficult. Why? Because your thyroid is your master hormone. It controls all the other hormones in the body. So you need your thyroid, your TSH, to be in the optimum range. Okay, can we reduce chest fat in males by a diet? Gynecomastia. Good question. Similarly, like I said right in the beginning, whether it is gynecomastia or abdominal fat, it doesn't matter. You cannot do specific body part fat reduction. Very difficult. You can tone a body part, you cannot take the fat out completely. For people who are stuck, who are at a weight loss plateau, or who are just starting off their weight loss journey, I'd like to give you a few tips. One, don't go if you're on somebody who's eating a high carb and eating a high carb at every meal. Don't go from there to eating no carbs. Like I said, wean yourself in and wean yourself out of a program. So whatever the carb intake that you are eating, just half it for a few weeks. That in itself will provide a big benefit, and you will see both weight loss and inch loss. Another thing I'd like to say here is don't focus only on the wing scale. It's very important that you drop the inches, because if you're going to get weight loss without fat loss, that can just be muscle loss, and that's really unhealthy weight loss. So that's not the kind of weight loss that you want to do. What hormonal test do I need to do? Well, that depends on how old you are, Angelina. That depends, you're a woman clearly, but it depends on what age you are at, if you're menopause, etc. It changes for everybody. But speak to your doc and they'll give you a hormonal profile to be done accordingly. I typically ask for CBC, iron studies, FSH, LH, prolactin if you're still menstruating, TSH for everybody. Vitamin D is very important because while we call it a vitamin, it's a master hormone. Recommendation for comfort eating. Well, somebody did an interview with me yesterday and asked me about intuitive eating. And they said, is intuitive eating indeed a thing, and should we be doing it? Now, the thing with comfort eating and intuitive eating is, for somebody who's already eating a high carb diet, and when you get that sugar surge and that insulin surge, which then drops later, your comfort food is going to be only cakes and pastries and chips when you're watching Netflix, etc. You need to start at a good baseline. Your hormonal profile needs to be, correct when you begin this sort of a program. Then your comfort eating will be very different from what you're eating right now, right? Because then automatically you won't gravitate towards the carb and the junk food. So begin correctly for a month, and then I can answer your question. So your comfort eating, therefore, will be very different than, if you're someone just focusing on comfort eating right now. That being said, the safe foods to eat are always protein and good fat. So whether you're watching Netflix in the middle of the night or whatever it may be, pick nuts, seeds, avocado, a hunker dip, Greek yogurt. It could be a handful of chana, any of that for hummus. Any of those work for comfort eating. Is there a protein to lose body fat during lactation? Is there a problem to lose body fat? Oh, absolutely not. See, you just need to eat correctly and make sure there is enough that you're getting in your diet, Akanksha, so that you can feed both yourself and your baby. Does that mean you cannot lose weight? And, people come to me with 18 kilos after their delivery? Absolutely not. We start them on the program 4 to 8 weeks after their delivery, depending on whether it's been a normal delivery or a C-sec, and if they've got any medical issues, and you can absolutely start dropping the weight. In fact, by the time you're done with your lactation and your breastfeeding, you should be your normal weight. I'm finding it difficult to lose belly fat. Any advice? Purnima, I'm going to save this video. I have already spoken on it. You cannot lose at any specific place, but you can do things like intermittent fasting, lower your carb count, etc., and you should be able to drop. Doctor, is the only solution to hormonal imbalance birth control pills? Oh my God, that's a great question. Sonika, I'm not a proponent of OC pills. I probably prescribe a pill to a woman only if she's trying to postpone or prepone her period. For somebody with PCOS, and I guess that's what the relevance to your question is, for somebody with PCOS, I think there's lots of things that we can do to not only control the symptoms, but actually to reverse PCOS without OC pills. If at all, I might give metformin, but again, few and far between for somebody who's really obese and whose metabolic parameters are through the roof. Doctor, can we eat 20 kajus per day as nut quota? Well, typically, if you're trying to drop weight, keep it to 10 and keep it to unsalted nuts, because you don't want the salt to cause water retention and a bloat weight. Can rock salt replace salt? Yes, it can. Be careful if you have thyroid issues, because you do need iodine. So, Renuka Shaker says, does milk affect weight gain? Now, the thing here is, it doesn't matter if it's full fat, slim, low fat, because that's fat. And I'm a big proponent of good quality fat. The problem with milk is the lactose, which is the carb in the milk. Now, remember that the carb intake in the milk, whether it's slim or whether it's buffalo milk, is the same. So, again, the problem with milk is not just the lactose if you're trying to drop weight, it's also the hormones, it's also GMO, it's also the antibiotics that go into the cow or the buffalo or whatever the animal who's giving you the milk. So I'm not a big fan of milk per se. A little bit in your tea or coffee, a splash here and there is fine.